We'll get there today. Okay, so I thought for today, I'll leave my shoes on for a minute just because it's chilly in here. But I thought for today we would start by just putting yourself in a comfortable position where your body is not a distraction to you. So if that means that you're like slouching or hunched over, feel free to do that. Or if you want to lay down on your mat, you're welcome to do that. But putting your body in a position that it just is comfortable and that you can then really focus on kind of your thoughts and your feelings for the first few minutes of our practice today. So if you would like, you can go ahead and just take a few cleansing breaths. Sometimes it's helpful to think about breathing in through your nose, bless you, and then out through your mouth. And sometimes it's helpful to visualize the breath going in to your lungs and filling up that space. And then following that breath as it warms and exhales out of your body. And today the invitation is, as always, to stillness, to silence, to solitude, which are easier said than done. Oftentimes we picture our thoughts kind of like if they were birds flying overhead and we just let them fly on. We acknowledge them, but we let them go as well. Excuse me. And today the invitation is if you picture each one of your thoughts that comes to mind like part of a bouquet. So maybe you have some really beautiful flowers in that bouquet, but maybe you've got some weeds or what you perceive as weeds in there too. It's kind of a mix of things. I'm going to give you a few moments of quiet to think about whatever thoughts come up in your mind, whatever needs your attention right now, whatever is asking for your attention, to go ahead and give it that attention, and then to picture that thought as one of those flowers or weeds or pieces of that bouquet, almost like you're gathering them all together in one space. Continuing to breathe. And then as you think about that bouquet, as you're gathering all of these thoughts together, if we can, we're just going to go ahead and lay that bouquet to the side for a little while, recognizing the beauty of it, also recognizing the things that we might wish we could change. Just letting that all be. And let me pray for us to start our practice here, or to continue our practice. God, we are such multifaceted individuals, full of so many possibilities, full of just so many different versions of ourselves even. Lord, full of the various emotions that we carry with us from moments that have happened and moments yet to come. God, in this season when we feel so full, God, would you be present with us? Would you help us to pour out our hearts and to empty ourselves a little bit so that we can feel your presence in our lives? Lord, we open ourselves up to that possibility today, and God, all these different thoughts that we're having that bring up the different emotions that we sense in our bodies, God, we just lay them down and give them to you right now before we even begin moving our bodies. Lord, we recognize that you are here in this space with us. So thank you, Spirit, for your presence with us. Would you bring to each of us the calm and the peace that you desire for us? It's in your name we pray. So when you're ready, if you're not already there, I'm going to invite you to lay down onto your backs with your feet planted flat on the floor. And we're going to start by doing some kind of little warm-up exercises for our arms. So we're going to simply take our arms straight up toward the ceiling and then reaching overhead, stretching out those shoulders. And then reaching back up toward the ceiling, engaging your core as you do this, and go ahead and take those arms down alongside your body. Once more, reaching up toward the ceiling and then overhead. You might feel that in your solar plexus as you do that. Your solar plexus is this agglomeration of muscles here, the top of your abdomen. And then go ahead and reach back up toward the ceiling, exhaling those arms down. And then when you're, as you're doing this, thinking about engaging your core as you do so. Inhaling in one direction, exhaling in the other direction. Let's do maybe 5 or 6 of these. Again, just slow and at your own pace. Again, kind of knitting those that abdominal wall together if you can. Very good. Then we're going to do the same sort of thing with our legs. We're going to leave the left foot on the mat, extend that right foot out straight in front of us, hovering it above the mat about 3 to 6 inches, and then just lifting that leg up toward the ceiling, and then coming back down. And then not actually touching the mat, we're going to continue to hover that leg over the mat. And press your hands into the mat for support if you would like. You can also bring those arms out to the side if that's more helpful to you. Continuing to breathe, and then exhale. Maybe doing 7 or 8 of these, again at your own pace. That leg should be feeling a little warmer now. You can go ahead and bend that knee, planting the right foot on the mat, extending the left leg out from your body. Again, we're going to take that foot up toward the ceiling and then back down. Again, placing your arms on the mat beside you in whatever fashion you feel is most supportive to you. Inhaling on one direction, and then exhaling on the other direction. Again, doing maybe 7 or 8 of these at your own pace, hovering that foot above the mat, and then bending that knee, bringing that foot in. We're going to go ahead and heel toe our feet out as wide as the mat, allowing our knees to come in toward each other. So they're just going to kind of rest against each other. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and tuck our chins, rolling our shoulders up off of the mat, Just again, engaging this upper abdominal area, knitting the lower abdominals together, and then rolling back down. And we're gonna do maybe 7 or 8 of these at your own pace. I would encourage you to exhale as you come up, and then inhale as you come down. If you'd like a little added challenge, you can raise your arms up off of the floor, bringing them parallel to the mat. Just a couple more. And then resting those arms down. We're gonna go ahead and take our legs, extending them all the way down to the mat, getting a nice full body stretch. Excuse me, arms up overhead, big inhale. And then extending those arms down to either side. And that's it, we're done for today. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Relaxation.
This is it, we're done for the day. No, just kidding. We're gonna take our feet to the mat and then we're gonna turn. Namaste. We're gonna turn onto one side, taking that lower arm and making a little pillow for yourself, extending the top arm out in front of you. We're gonna do some big arm circles here. So trying to keep your fingertips on the mat as much as possible. Just feeling the full range of motion of that shoulder. Maybe doing 4 or maybe 5, depending on your own pace of those circles. And then go ahead and bring that arm in towards your body. We're going to push ourselves up into a seated position first. And then do some mini cat-cows here. So taking our palms to the front side of our knees, we're going to sit nice and tall, thinking about extending the crown of the head up toward the ceiling. And then when you're ready, you can start to look up and open up the chest, leaning forward, and then arch back, leaning onto that tailbone, tucking your chin. Again, going at your own pace. Really stretching between those shoulder blades. Really opening up that chest. And then coming back to center. We're going to go ahead and lay down on the other side. Taking that top arm out straight from your body. And then taking that arm up overhead, again, drawing those really big, slow circles, keeping your fingertips on the mat as much as possible. Maybe doing 4 or 5 again of these circles at your own pace. And when you're done with those, you can allow that top arm to come in towards your body. And you're going to push yourself up once more into that seated pose. We're going to just do a seated twist here. So we're going to leave our legs in a crisscross applesauce sort of position in front of our bodies. And then we're going to simply twist off to one side. So taking that with my left arm across your body, sitting nice and tall. And then releasing that, taking that to the opposite side. And then coming back to center, we're gonna go ahead and extend both legs out in front of us. Sitting nice and tall, and then tucking your chin, rounding down, and then walking those fingertips forward slightly for caterpillar pose. I usually feel this position all the way down my spine. And then unrolling, sitting nice and tall. We'll go ahead and do that one more time, tucking your chin, rounding your shoulders down, walking your hands forward. And go ahead and round back up. Let's do some shoulder circles here. First one direction, and then the opposite direction. And just allowing those shoulders to settle down away from your ears. We're gonna go ahead and sweep our feet off to one side, coming onto hands and knees. From here, we're gonna do some hip flexor stretches. So we're gonna take that left foot forward between the two front hands. And you're gonna lean into this low lunge, having one hand on either side of your foot. So you're gonna really feel that on the front side of that right hip. Taking some deep breaths. See if you can go a little lower with this stretch. Sink into it a little further with your next exhale. And then I'm going to encourage you just to kind of rock your hips from side to side. So just exploring some of the nuance of that right hip. And coming back to center. We're going to go ahead and tuck the back toes, straighten the back leg. We're going to kind of pin that, the left knee in, like kind of tuck it into our armpit there. Feeling the straightness of that back leg. You see if you can straighten it a little further. And then go ahead and turn the back foot so it's perpendicular to the other. Pressing your feet into the mat and go ahead and lift all the way up. We're going to go ahead and take the left hand up toward the ceiling. Right hand can come restfully behind you. Then bringing that left hand down, we're going to clasp hands at the base of our tailbone, pulling down, opening up the chest here. And kind of just like we were doing just a moment ago, we're going to pin shoulder to knee, allowing the back arms to come up overhead for humble warrior. And releasing those arms down. We're going to tuck that knee back into our armpit there, allow the back heel to come up. So we're on the ball of our foot once more. Bending that back knee, untucking the toes, coming back into that hip flexor stretch with a low lunge. And then stepping that left foot back to meet the right. And return to all fours. And from here, we're going to do some cat-cows. So dropping the belly, allow the head to come up, allow the tailbone to come up. And then when you're ready to exhale, arching your back, tucking your tailbone. Inhale into cow when you're ready. Exhale into cat. Again, doing as many as you would like at your own pace. And then coming back to neutral, we're going to take our toes together, our knees as wide as the mat, sitting our hips back on top of our heels, and stretch forward into child's pose. And take a few deep breaths here. And as you rest here in that position, I'm going to read our meditative thought for today. And this comes from a poem called, I think this one is called Garden, but I can't quite remember, but it's from Morgan Harper Nichols. And it says, grace, unmerited favor that meets you where you are, even when the world feels lonelier, even with a broken heart. This season can be full of grief for a lot of people as we approach the holidays, maybe without loved ones for the first time, or maybe with family situations that look different than what we thought, or maybe there was a move. I mean, it just could be any number of reasons. And so this is our reminder that grace can still meet us in those moments. When you're ready, you're going to take that right hand, slide it underneath the left arm, and then come back down to rest. Feeling that stretch across the back side of your right shoulder. One more deep breath here. And then go ahead and stretch that arm forward. We're going to pull ourselves up onto all fours. This time stepping the left foot forward. Oops, nope, we already did the left. Just kidding, we're stepping the right foot forward.
Right.
Right. The right, correct. So again, getting ourselves into that low lunge. So we're sinking in, feeling that stretch across the left hip, the front of the left hip. And kind of tucking that right knee into your right armpit, taking that arm in close. And then from here, if you can, just kind of swaying those hips from side to side. Again, just exploring some of the nuance of that left hip there. Having a little extra stretch. And coming back to center, we're going to tuck the back toes, straighten the back leg. Coming into our runner's lunge here. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and move that back foot so it's perpendicular to the front, pressing our feet into the mat, and then lifting up, taking that right arm up toward the ceiling, left arm is relaxed and down. Checking in that your tailbone is softened down. Then taking that right arm, swinging that down. We're going to interlace the fingers behind us, pulling down at the tailbone, opening up the chest, looking up. And then when you're ready, starting to move into humble warrior, pinning that right shoulder to the right knee. And then releasing those arms all the way down. Again, kind of tucking that right knee into your right armpit, allowing the back heel to come up off the mat. Then dropping the back knee, untucking the back toes. Really sinking in once more into that left hip flexor. And then stepping that right foot back to meet the left foot. Bring those toes together, knees as wide as the mat, sitting back into our child's pose, stretching the arms forward once more. And once again, as we rest in this pose, let me read this for us again. It says, grace, unmerited favor that meets you where you are, even when the world feels lonelier, even with a broken heart. Taking another deep breath here. And taking that left hand, sliding it underneath the right arm, resting down. Feeling that stretch across the left shoulder blade and the left shoulder. Maybe even a little bit across the back of that left arm. When you're ready, you're going to take that left hand, stretching it forward. You're going to pull up onto all fours, bringing those knees underneath your hips once more. We're going to walk our hands forward, coming into modified plank first. And then checking that our shoulders are directly over top of our wrists, if possible. We're going to allow those hips to sink down, allow those elbows to come in towards your body. Coming into cobra. Then if you can, we're going to press the mat away from us and lift back up into our modified plank. Once more, allowing those hips to come down, elbows to come in toward the body. Last time, lift into modified plank and then lower all the way down. From here, we're going to work ourselves up onto our elbows, spreading those fingertips nice and wide. Bringing those shoulders down away from your ears. So not sinking into this position like we sometimes want to. And then taking the left hand to meet your right elbow, we're going to reach back with that right hand, drawing the right foot in toward our body. Again, you're still holding yourself up here, you're not sinking down into this position. So get a nice deep breath. And releasing that down, we're going to draw both arms back toward the front, and then we're going to take our hands underneath our shoulders, pushing ourselves back up into modified plank. We're going to take that right knee all the way forward between those two front hands, and then bending forward for pigeon pose on the right side. Now, if you have it in your practice, you are welcome to move into a deeper expression of pigeon pose. So that means that you're coming up and you're doing a king pigeon or something along those lines, you're welcome to do that. If you're comfortable here, feel free to stay. Again, the invitation is to revisit your breath. Again, visualizing that air coming in and filling up your lungs. And then, again, picturing that breath coming out of your mouth after it's been warmed by your heart. Then working yourself up onto your palms. If you're not already there, we're gonna slide that right back, coming back to all fours. From here, we're gonna do a couple more cat-cows. So go ahead and drop the belly, allow the head to come up when you're ready. And then exhale, arching up toward the ceiling. Doing a few rounds, maybe 3 or 4 of those at your own pace. And coming back to neutral, we're gonna walk those hands forward slightly. We're gonna shift into modified plank, engaging our core, tailbone is softened down. And your neck is just a natural extension of your body. And then we're gonna drop those hips, allow the elbows to come in toward our body, opening up the chest for cobra. Then lifting again into modified plank. Breathing deeply as we do this, dropping the hips, coming into cobra. And then lifting once more into modified plank. And then go ahead and drop all the way down. Coming up onto your elbows. Giving those arms a little bit of a break. If you would like, we can do some jazz hands here. When you're ready, you can take that right hand across the front toward your left elbow and then reach back with your left hand, drawing that left foot in toward your body. Continuing to breathe. Thinking about relaxing your thigh muscle, relaxing your glute. And releasing that, bringing both hands back to the front here. Then from here, we're going to take those hands underneath our shoulders, pushing up into modified plank once more. And we're going to shift that left knee forward, coming into pigeon pose on the left side. Again, from here, you can fold forward over top of that knee, or you can move into a deeper expression of this pose if you would like. If this feels too intense for you, always feel free to flip over onto your back, and you can do a reclined pigeon pose. That gives you just a little bit more control over the sensation that you feel. Taking some deep breaths. One more deep breath. And working ourselves back up onto those hands, sliding that left knee back to meet the right, coming back into our all fours pose for our last set of cat-cows. So whichever one you'd like to start with, you're welcome to. Again, rolling through about 3 or 4 of those at your own pace. And coming back to neutral, we're going to go ahead and step that left foot forward once more. Coming back into that low lunge. Tuck those back toes, straighten the back leg, and turn the back foot. And pressing those feet in, lifting our upper bodies up, reaching that left hand all the way up. Taking a nice deep breath. We're going to go ahead and straighten that front leg, release that arm. We're going to turn, it's hard to do in tennis shoes. And turn your toes toward the long edge of your mat, and then fold forward for wide open A. Then if you'd like, you can kind of sway from side to side, or you can slowly move your upper body from one side to the opposite side. And coming back to center, I'm going to invite you to take your arms out in front of you, kind of like you're doing that either downward dog position or almost like you had your arms outstretched for a child's pose. So you've got wide open A for your legs, and you've got the stretched out position for your upper body here. And then walking those hands back to center. You're going to turn the left toes toward the short edge of the mat once more, bending that front knee. You're going to walk your hands around so that you have hands on either side of that front foot. Allow the back heel to come up off of the mat. And from here, we're simply going to shift our weight back a little bit, so that way we're almost like you're reaching your back heel toward the mat. So you're getting a deep stretch on the back calf muscle here. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and step that back foot in slightly, and then straighten the front leg, coming into triangle pose. Taking another deep breath here. And bending that front knee again, tucking that into your left armpit, stepping that back foot back again. We're going to allow that back knee to come down, untuck the toes, stepping that left foot back to the right. Now we'll do the other side. So right foot forward, again, however you can get there, it's totally fine. So from here, we are tucking the back toes, straightening the back leg, turn that back foot, pressing our feet into the mat, lifting up, taking that right arm up toward the ceiling. Holding this for a few breaths. Then you're going to go ahead and allow that arm to come down, straightening that front leg. You're going to turn both feet toward the long edge of your mat. And I'm going to turn and face you all. So you're here, and you're turning both feet to face the long edge of the mat, and then simply folding forward once more. Again, kind of swaying that upper body from side to side if you would like. If it feels better in your body to stay center, feel free to do that. Coming back to center, if you're not already there, walking those hands out in front of you, tucking your chin. So you have, once again, your wide open A stance, and your hands are in like a downward facing dog or like an extended child's pose position. When you're ready, you can start to walk those hands in towards your body. You're going to turn the right toes toward the short edge of the mat. Walking your hands over toward that short edge as well. So you've got Your right knee, you're gonna bend it, but tuck it into that right armpit. Allow the back heel to flip so that way it is up toward the ceiling. And then you're gonna sink back into this stretch, bringing the back heel down toward the mat. To get a nice deep stretch on the back calf muscle. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and step that back foot in slightly. Straighten the front leg. Come into triangle pose on the opposite side here. And bending that knee, tucking it up underneath that armpit again, stepping the back leg back. Go ahead and allow that back knee to come down. Release those toes, and then step that right foot back to meet the left. We're gonna come to all fours once more. We're gonna tuck our toes. This time, lifting our hips up, pushing down into downward facing dog. And if you can, my encouragement is going to be to shift your weight forward so you can come into a plank pose. And then shift those hips up toward the ceiling, back into downward facing dog. Going at your own pace, doing that maybe 4 or 5 times. Engaging your core as you do so. Feeling the strength in your back and in your arms, in your core, and in your legs as you move slowly from one position to the other. And then from here, you're going to simply walk those feet towards your hands, coming into ragdoll pose at the top of your mat. So you're going to take one elbow in each hand, bending your knees deeply, just allowing your upper body to hang down here. And releasing those arms down, bend those knees a little more deeply, place your hands on your knees, and then very slowly round yourself up. Very good. So we are going to move into our balancing posture. So if you would like to stay in your mat, you're welcome to, or if you would like to move somewhere where you have a little extra support, you're welcome to do that too. Today, we're doing a dancer pose version. So we're going to start, as always, in our mountain pose. And then shifting our weight to that left leg, we're going to draw that right leg up behind us. And if this is enough of a stretch, then feel free to stay here, or if you'd like, you can start to press the top of that foot into the palm of your hand, coming into dancer pose. Then releasing that back down. And then releasing that foot all the way down. And then switching sides. Again, starting in our mountain pose, feeling really rooted and grounded first. Then shifting our weight to that right foot, drawing the left foot up toward our body. Again, if this feels comfortable to you, it feels like it's enough for today, then feel free to stay here. Or you can press that top of the foot into the palm of the hand, allowing your body to arch forward. Taking a deep breath, then releasing that down. And releasing that foot, returning to mountain pose. Okay. So now we're gonna come back down to our mats. I'm gonna invite you to come down onto your backs. If you'd like, you can draw your knees into your chest, maybe sway side to side if you'd like. I'm gonna reread our meditative thought for today. It says, grace, unmerited favor that meets you where you are, even when the world feels lonelier, even with a broken heart. I love that thought because it reminds us that grace is not just for people who are feeling really good, but it's for people who are also feeling lonely or feeling like their hearts are broken too. Coming back to center, you can go ahead and release those feet down to the mat, drawing your arms down alongside your body. Engage in your core. You're gonna reach those arms up toward the ceiling. And we're gonna pause here with hands up. I would even encourage you to have palms open, almost like if you were going to receive help or receive sustenance or whatever it is that you need for today. Being open to that receiving. Maybe receive comfort, maybe receive grace. When you're ready, you can keep reaching up overhead, stretching out those arms, and then bringing them back toward the ceiling, engaging your core. Keep releasing those arms all the way down to the mat. Extend that right foot out away from our bodies, extending that right leg all the way up toward the ceiling, and engaging all the muscles in the legs, and then releasing that down, and bending that knee, bringing that right foot to the mat again, switching sides. So left foot straight out, and then drawing that up toward the ceiling. And then go ahead and work that back down. Again, bending the knee, bringing it in toward the body, taking your feet as wide as the mat, allowing those knees to come rest together in the center. Reaching your arms up overhead once more. And then reaching up toward the ceiling, allowing those arms to come down to either side. From here, I'm going to encourage you to turn your palms up toward the ceiling. Allow your arms to come out away from your body at a natural angle. And if you would like, you're welcome to stay here for our final relaxation position. Or you can always extend your feet down one at a time, bring your arms alongside your body in a different position. Or you can roll onto one side or do something different. But again, putting your body in a position that feels comfortable and intuitive to you. So from here, we're going to take a few moments of quiet, and I'll call us back together at the end.
When you're ready, you can start to wiggle your fingers, maybe wiggle your toes. If you like, you can roll your wrists around a little bit. Drawing your attention back to this moment. Turning to one side and then gently pushing yourself up into a seated position. And then returning ourselves to whatever that position was at the beginning where it felt very comfortable to you to close us. Let me read this once more. Grace, unmerited favor that meets you where you are, even when the world feels lonelier, even with a broken heart. May grace go with you today. Namaste.